Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding this hearing, number one, but thanks for waiting for me as well. And thanks to all the panel for being here. Marshall, I want to start with you, and I apologize if you already covered this. I've been going back and forth to other hearings today, but I just want to ask you, coming back to your wife, did you find out, how did she get added to that database? Why was she flagged in the first place? And who did it? Do you know? I mean, at what level was the decision made?
That's still something we don't know. It's been unanswered after many attempts by several people.
Is your sense that it was an individual, this was a human decision, or is this some kind of an automated thing that based on information they collected about her, personal information, the fact that she was in D.C. on January 6th, that they tagged her, and then, too bad, she's on the list for years.
Your guess is as good as mine. She was obviously in the area on January 6th, whether that prompted somebody to just put her on the list or it was something else. We don't have the answers.
Yes, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm your independent political analyst, no spin, no tribalism, just facts, context, and thoughtful commentary. Today, we're reacting to a recent Senate hearing where Senator Josh Hawley questioned multiple witnesses about alleged government surveillance and political targeting, particularly through programs like Quiet Skies. Let's break down what happened, what's being alleged, and what it all means without the partisan noise.
I mean, it's a sickening violation of her First Amendment rights, obviously. I want to thank you for your service and thank your wife for what she's endured. You should never have had to go through it. And to be honest with you, what we saw in the aftermath of January 6th, the effort to persecute the president's political opponents, President Biden, that is just unbelievable. I want to ask you, Mr. Leavitt, if I can, just on that subject, tell me a little bit more about how the Biden administration used the Quiet Skies program, which had existed obviously for long before then, but really started using it to target political opponents. It seems like they found in this program a great opportunity to start turning the screws down on people that they didn't like, including, just ordinary folks like Mr. Crowder's wife. I mean, she wasn't running for office, she wasn't running against Joe Biden, but yet, my gosh, she found herself targeted. I mean, is this the United States of America or not? Talk to us about your understanding of how this happened.
After January 6th, it's clear, and you see this across a lot of agencies. We've seen this from FBI whistleblowers represented. The federal government took a stance, which was that a lot of people with certain political views were threats to our nation. And so that certainly manifests itself in lots of ways, and one of those was these different types of travel lists. So people who were there on January 6th, as has been mentioned, people that maybe were members of a group or expressed concern about wearing masks in public because of their effectiveness, were all put on lists like these. The most still unanswered example is Tulsi Gabbard being added to a list after she criticized Kamala Harris. And again, the TSA's self-serving, I can't say TSA, someone in the government's self-serving leak to the New York Times said, no, it's okay. It was because she was associated with this person at the Vatican. She went to a conference there, but it clearly says Mick Mulvaney went as well. Many of you know Mick Mulvaney. He didn't get added to a Quiet Skies list when he flew back to the U.S. So it just puts the lie to the fact that this was the justification. So again, whenever you have secrecy, we've talked about all the civil liberties concerns, but whenever you have secrecy, there's also the additional threat that it will be used in secret ways to target people that go above and beyond just, well, we all have to endure it. It's part of being safe in America today. That's targeting, that's weaponization.
And it's kind of incredible, isn't it, that after all these years, to come back to Mr. Crowder's wife, we still don't have any idea exactly how she got added or who did it. I mean, so there's the evasion of accountability. You can't go and say, well, you know what, you're fired. You did that, that's an abuse, you're gone. It's the classic bureaucratic deep state. Oh, well, we don't know quite how it happened. It just so happens, though, that everybody who looks like they may have been politically of a different mindset than the last president gets targeted. I mean, who gets the FBI knocking at their door early in the morning? Is it people who are Biden voters? No, amazingly, it's not. It's people who go to school board meetings and ask about masking policies. Who gets the FBI SWAT teams at their door? Oh, it just happens to be pro-life folks who had the audacity to exercise their First Amendment rights by walking on a sidewalk. I mean, it is unlike anything I think we've seen in this country's history. Mr. Taibbi, if I could just come to you, will you help contextualize this? I mean, we saw, and you've reported on this, we've seen abuse across a range of agencies. It wasn't just Quiet Skies, what it were. It was the FBI. It was the IRS. It was agency after, it was DHS, right? I mean, it was agency after agency. Just fill in the blanks here for us. Help us understand how what we're talking about today is sadly just one piece of a massive, seemingly whole of government approach to try and delegitimize anybody who disagreed with the last administration.
Sure, and thank you, Senator Hawley. Just to Mr. Levitt's point, there are a lot of similarities in the statements of the FBI whistleblowers that Empower represented and some of the Air Marshals that I talked to about this story. Both complained. For instance, there were FBI agents who just sat in vans outside the homes of people who might have been at J6, people who were pulled off details trying to catch child pornographers to do that kind of work, who were extremely frustrated to be forced to be collecting information on innocent people. The same thing with federal air marshals who their job is to prevent terrorists from storming cockpit doors on airplanes. They think that's a very important job, but we're putting marshals in the backs of airplanes where they can't do any good at all, and having them listen to conversations of, former congresswoman from Hawaii and checking how many times they go to the bathroom. It's a total misallocation of resources, and it's politicized information gathering. And so I think it's a betrayal of both the people in these services and the American citizens.
Yeah, well, very well said. And I just have to say, I appreciate you holding the hearing, Mr. Chairman, because I think we've got to expose this so that it never happens again. The nearest thing I can think of in our country's history is we briefly in 1798 toyed with trying to outlaw political dissent, the Alien and Sedition Acts. That unhappy episode was resoundingly rejected by the American people in the election of 1800, and you would that was a long time ago now. You'd think that we're past that, and really what we have seen in the last 4 years is unlike anything since that period, and much worse because the federal government is much, much more powerful than it was in 1798. The ability to prevent travel, the ability to monitor conversations. I mean, I can just think off the top of my head, you had the federal government telling the big tech companies they've got to take down and censor normal Americans who comment on COVID, who comment on masks, who comment on a CRT in the classroom. You've got the FBI designating parents who go to school board meetings as terrorists. You've got the FBI targeting pro-lifers. You've got the FBI recruiting spies into Catholic parishes. You've got the Quiet Skies program. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. That's like 6 things. It's unbelievable. And we talk about never forget. We've got to never forget this and make sure it never happens again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The investigation is not over. We are today announcing that we will be investigating the Project on Extremism at George Washington University. We want to know whether or not they were doing research on people not wearing masks or against wearing masks, whether they were doing research on people who attended January 6th, whether Christine Crowder came from George Washington information that was sent over, or whether it came from someone specifically making up something about her. We are going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to keep asking questions, and we're going to find out who did this and who caused such a great disruption to your life for several years. And you're the one we know about, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of who did this. But this is the tip of the iceberg. We hope that anyone who's interested in this will continue to give us information, that more people will step forward, and those of you who are interested in reform will participate with us in finding legislative solutions to try to make sure this never happens again. With that, I would like to thank our witnesses for joining us here today to share their testimony and expertise with the committee. The record for this hearing will remain open until 5 p.m. on Friday, October 3rd, 2025. For the submission of statements and questions for the record, the hearings.
So, in this hearing, Senator Hawley focused on the case of a woman, the wife of a man named Marshall, who was reportedly placed on a federal travel watch list for years. The key point? She wasn't charged of any crime, but she was in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. Now, according to her husband's testimony, they still have no idea how or why she was added to this list, or who made that decision. That uncertainty alone raises questions about transparency, oversight, and due process. From Hawley's point of view, this represents a sickening violation of her First Amendment rights. He sees it as part of a larger pattern of the federal government allegedly using security tools originally designed for anti-terrorism to monitor or punish Americans with certain political views. 2 other witnesses, including Mr. Leavitt and journalist Matt Taibbi, expanded on that claim. They argued that after January 6th, certain federal agencies like the FBI, TSA, and DHS began treating people with specific political beliefs or skepticism about issues like masks and COVID policies as potential threats. Leavitt even cited Tulsi Gabbard, the former Democratic congresswoman, claiming she was reportedly flagged after criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris. If that's true, it would show this isn't just about one political party. It's about the risk of government power being turned inward towards citizens regardless of affiliation. Taibbi, for his part, emphasized the misallocation of resources agents and air marshals being reassigned from critical security work to monitoring Americans who pose no real threat. He called a betrayal of both the agent's mission and public trust. Hawley went even further, comparing what's happening today to the 1798 Sedition Acts, when the U.S. government criminalized criticism of the federal administration. That's a strong historical analogy, but it underscores his larger warning that government surveillance tools, once justified for national security, can quickly evolve into political instruments if there's no accountability. And this isn't just about one party. Under previous administrations, there were similar accusations, think of the IRS targeting scandal during the Obama years, or even earlier concerns about Patriot Act surveillance under George W. Bush. So, while this hearing focuses on current leadership, the deeper issue is systemic. It's about how easily surveillance power can cross constitutional lines when oversight fails. The committee chair closed the hearing by announcing a new investigation specifically into the project on extremism at George Washington University to see whether data from that research was used to justify travel restrictions or watchlist entries for American citizens. They promised to keep digging until they identify who was responsible and how this kind of political profiling, if proven true, could be stopped through legislation. Now, stepping back as a political analyst, here's the balanced view. If these allegations are accurate, this is a major civil liberties concern. No American should be secretly punished or surveilled for their beliefs, especially under the vague label of potential threat. However, there's also an important caution. Claims like these need clear evidence. Hearing testimony raises red flags, but confirmation requires documentation, internal records, and independent verification. What's clear is that both transparency and accountability are essential. Whether it's a TSA, FBI, or any federal agency, there must be checks in place so that political neutrality is not just an aspiration, it's enforced by law. And as citizens, regardless of party lines, we should all agree on this. Government surveillance should never be used as a political weapon. So, that's my analysis of today's hearing, a complex mix of serious allegations, historical parallels, and urgent questions about liberty and power in modern America. What do you think? Was this a justified investigation into government overreach, or is it being exaggerated for political effect? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, keep it civil, keep it factual, and keep thinking critically. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more independent analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.